The Sean Diddy Combs trial is winding down, with both the prosecution and defense team resting their cases on Tuesday. The jury has heard more than 6 weeks of testimony from 34 government witnesses, including ex-girlfriends, former employees, and law enforcement agents. Combs, a former hip-hop mogul, has pleaded not guilty to charges that include sex trafficking and racketeering. Joining us now is criminal defense attorney Eric Faddis. Welcome.
Be with you.
Let's first talk about what happened in court yesterday. The prosecution gave their closing arguments. What stood out most to you?
Yeah, Mary, I think they did a good job of really clarifying the sex trafficking charge and what's required to prove it, because there were certainly some consensual romantic encounters with these alleged victims, but the prosecution made clear all you need is one non-consensual romantic encounter that was by force, fraud, or coercion, and that would prove the sex trafficking charge, which is really the most serious charge here.
The prosecution described Diddy as the leader of a criminal enterprise involving crimes like sex trafficking and kidnapping. What legal weight does that term criminal enterprise carry in a racketeering case?
Well, it's a critical element of a racketeering charge. It's something the prosecution has to prove. They have to show that Bad Boy Entertainment was essentially a loose affiliation of folks who were knowingly engaged in a criminal conspiracy to commit these predicate acts. And so establishing that this entertainment company was actually a criminal enterprise is critical to finding Diddy guilty of RICO.
We heard a lot about the alleged involvement of Combs' inner circle. How important is that for the jury to connect those individuals' actions directly back to Combs himself?
That's yet another element that the prosecution has to prove in order to for the jury to find Diddy guilty of RICO. There has to be affiliates who were knowingly engaged in unlawful conduct and that, did so of their own will and in coordination with one another. We didn't really hear from any of those affiliates in the trial, and so that might be difficult for the prosecution to prove.
What kind of rebuttal strategy might we expect from the defense today?
Mary, I see the defense team is going to really draw a separation between Diddy and Bad Boy Entertainment and argue that, hey, Diddy engaged in whatever he did in his personal life, but that is not in connection with his business. I think they're also going to argue that, hey, there was a lot of consensual romantic conduct, and it's hard to really parse out exactly what was consent and what wasn't in those moments over the course of years.
After the defense presents, the government gets a rebuttal. What should we watch out for in the final moment from the prosecution?
That prosecution rebuttal, it has to be responsive to the defense's closing argument. And so in that sense, it kind of has to be on the fly. You've got to be listening to what the other side is saying and be ready to sort of undercut those arguments. I think that they're going to talk about the fact that they only need one non-consensual encounter, and also that Bad Boy engaged in a number of crimes, including drug distribution for these hotel nights and also bribery to try to get the hotel video suppressed.
Yeah, criminal defense attorney Eric Faddis, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you.